Men of Reddit have dated or are currently dating a disabled partner, blind, deaf, physically handicapped, etc. What is it like, and how did you start dating? I was with a girl who is a deaf. You can burp and fart as much as you want, as long as you're downwind. You never get woken up because of your snoring bothering them. You can make as much noise as you want in the morning or at night, but even the slightest bit of light can wake them up. Music can make them feel left out. There was no difference in ethics other than slightly more eye contact. You can use a light or little laser pen to get their attention. If they're far away and not facing you, you need to take time to explain/translate what's happening in conversation and train yourself to be patient. Sharing YouTube and other social media stuff can make them feel left out, as many do not have subtitles. Movies require those special glazes or boxes that have subtitles. Generally weren't as enjoyable for her. People talking in movies are extra obnoxious. BC they are just as loud as the movie through hearing aids. She'll have no clue if she sits on the remote and causes the volume to skyrocket. People will get mad. BC they think they're being ignored. You have to explain, and then they get extremely apologetic. People in groups will constantly be worried she is being left out. Some party games they can't participate in. Watching cooking shows is particularly enjoyable for some reason. You need to call the fire and police department to let them know a deaf person lives there just to be safe. Pets can help them know when someone is at the door or other things like that. You have to face them when talking and can't turn away or they can't hear you. It can be a sort of get out of jail free card when you don't want to be somewhere, etc. As people never question why a deaf person would want to not be part of a situation. You can mostly communicate in a secret language in front of other people. The movie Glazers, link, youtube.com/watch v=xt1fpdvpg will update if I think of anything else. Dated a blind woman for about 6 months. It was different in some ways, most of them mundane. Like we didn't go to the movies, and I drove all the time, but it honestly wasn't any different in any way that matters. Married my wife 18 years ago. She became disabled 8 years in with a type of cancer that destroyed her spine. She can be up on her feet for about 5 minutes maximum before her legs turn to jelly. She's had to learn to walk twice through surgery and recollapses of her vertebrae. We have 3 kids, all born before the cancer, and they all had to grow up a little faster than I'd like. Asking your 8-year-old son to help mom with the commode was a heartbreaker. We've basically become homebodies. We bought a flat house so she can get around easier, and we host a lot of family events so we don't have to ask friends and family if toilets are on the main floor, how many steps to get inside, etc. I became the butler, maid, chef, and parental enforcer while working full-time. She helps keep the bills on track and helps the kids with school, and I follow up after cleaning up after dinner. We do a lot of movies, board games, and play video games together. We all have Minecraft accounts. I tend to be the gopher and do a lot of snapping pictures at the grocery store and texting her to confirm it's what she wants. When we do go out for meals, we tend to go early to beat the rush and she doesn't feel so crammed in somewhere with her wheelchair. We have a power chair for her, but getting a van that fits all 5 of us isn't cheap. So we tend to use it for walks around the neighborhood. When we walk the dog, we are polite and introduce ourselves to neighbors who block the sidewalk with their cars. And once people understand, we cruise the neighborhood in her chair. Most people leave the sidewalk clear for us. We haven't been intimate in a decade now, and on occasion we have our moments and break down in front of each other. I lost my dad in September and she wasn't able to be at my side for any of it until we held the memorial. Her dad is in failing health, and since she's high risk, she's committed to staying safe for her kids and risking a cross-country trip to see her dad one last time. Thank the gods for video calls. It takes us longer to get to places. I take a lot of outdoor video when she can't handle the heat. Nerve damage destroyed her body's ability to regulate its temp. She doesn't sweat, nor does she feel it when her legs are freezing. A lot is the same. We have late night talks after the kids go to bed. I get lectured if I attempt to leave the house without giving her a goodbye kiss, etc. Some things are easier. She loves getting cards, hates getting flowers. but loves buying in-game mounts or outfits, so gift giving is pretty easy. We're introvert nerds, and our kids are the same. And we'll enjoy the simple things like sharing a laugh at the dinner table, even if it's just beanie wieners and cornbread. Because I had a long day, I'm in it to win it till she dies. The indolent cancer will eventually metastasize, and likely attempts at getting it out will cause her to bleed out and die. We just enjoy each day. Give hugs to all the kids at least once a day. Our 16-year-old son still hugs us willingly, even in public, and enjoy what time we have together. Thank you for being such a beautiful person. Like, damn, we need more people like you. My dad dated and then married a woman who could not walk due to polio. From my perspective, they had a very long, very happy relationship that ended too soon when she died from complications due to polio. She told her friend that she liked him. They worked on different floors of the same building, but he would always make an excuse to go down to see her. They both worked for the American government, but worked in different departments. When they got married, her whole family thought he was after her money. I thought that was a slap in the face. I think that they both knew that he was always going to have to take care of her as she got older. He never complained though. Dad frequently carried upstairs, propped her up on his motorcycle, helped her in the bathroom, just all the little stuff that she had difficulty with. Occasionally she would fall, but he was always there to pick her up. Seeing my non-handicapped mom married to an abusive psycho, and then seeing my dad and stepmom together put things in perspective for me. Their relationship was completely normal. It is something that I would wish for myself. I don't think there was any difference between their relationship and any other couple that is in love and dedicated to one another. At her funeral, everyone made sure to pipe up that they never saw her as handicapped. Yeah? Well, why do you all keep bringing it up? But I don't think my dad did. He was just in love with her and she with him, and they just made it work. I have a family member is in a long-term relationship with a blind man. They seem to have a pretty great relationship. She screws with him sometimes, like moving stuff around the house or leaving the room when he is talking to her, so he is just talking to himself in a room. This is all good-natured fun that they both laugh about it. He is also really self-efficient. He does all the maintenance on her car, changes her oil, brake fluid, rotates the tires. He also cleans the house, and according to her, you will never see a cleaner window when he is done. They also once got him behind the wheel of a car in an empty parking lot to see how well he can drive with her directing him. Answer: not well. I'm a bit beyond the scope of your question. I've been married to my wife, who is deaf, for 12 years. I met her in college, and I found her voice endearing. We were living in the same dorm and in the same major. I didn't want to major in that anymore, and when I met her I had an epiphany of what I wanted to do with my life. I changed majors and schools, and now I work as an interpreter for the deaf. There is a serious communication barrier to overcome. I did a lot of the work by getting a degree in precisely that kind of communication, and there needs to be an acknowledgement of the kind of disparity and inequity that exists between us. The rest is making the effort to communicate clearly consistently every day. That's no different than any other couple, I think. Having said that, there are pros and cons. I can shout to her from another room to come to me or ask a question. I do a fair amount of waving my arms and tapping her on the arm to get her attention. Movies are hard since captioning is hard to access in the theaters. I can, however, mutter things that might cause an argument, but express my feelings nonetheless. That she won't hear. We can watch 2 different TV shows in the same room. Hers muted and using closed captions. We can have private conversations in ASL at family gatherings. And we can communicate across long distances and in loud environments easily. Not me, but a family member and his wife. His wife is deaf, so when they got married, moved in together, he told me on the first few days he would try to be as quiet as possible as to not wake her up. Then he thought, what the hell am I doing, she's deaf. Then didn't do much to be quiet. My wife has schizophrenia. She hears very negative voices from without. They make her afraid to do anything. She can't even drive. She has been different in this way her whole life, and the world has been cruel to her for it. to the point strangers give her anxiety. We became friends online. On a video game. 4 years we hung out every day. She lived 4,000 miles away. But one day she did the bravest thing she's ever done in her life. She went to another country to meet me. All by herself. I showed her everything about me. The good. The bad. The shameful. And she loved me for it. She is a truly good person. The only one I ever met. And yes, there are frustrations. Communication is difficult for her when she is upset. She sometimes can't speak at all. She is very forgetful. Constantly loses things. Clueless when it comes doing something dishonest like hiding a bag of candy from the roommate. And I would not change her for the world. And I know she wouldn't change me. We've had ups and downs. But I've never for a second felt she was a burden or resented her for something that was out of her control. I couldn't live without her. Like this video and this good boy will be your mailman forever. We are Redditation. And we Redditate every day. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. Until then, check another video. Or don't. Either way, have a wonderful day you magnificent people.